Hi everyone, it's Jerry. I'm on Chess.com's Tactics Trainer. I'm going to try 3 more puzzles. This first one, it's white to move. And I'm just going to share my thoughts along the way. So let's see where we stand with this one material-wise. Just doing a quick check. We're balanced with the material. And what next? Okay. What should I reference first? This bishop is unprotected, so I think there might be something we can do with that. There might also be something with the move g4, since that's a fork. I think I'm onto something. I really do think I'm onto something here, with this bishop being unprotected, and this being a fork possibility. There is also this capture, and I think there's a timing issue with this one. When exactly to capture on e8? We could capture on d6. Let me just point this out. If bishop takes bishop on the first move, knight takes, and if rook takes rook, then there's the knight that can recapture. And there would be one less unprotected piece. For example, if bishop takes bishop, knight takes, rook takes rook, queen recaptures, now there's an unprotected knight on d6 and a bishop that's unprotected on h5. So I'm thinking that by playing g4 first, after bishop takes pawn, now we take on e8, queen recaptures, take on d6, the knight recaptures, and now with the knight being unprotected on d6 and the bishop being unprotected on g4, there's this quiet move, queen to f4, attacking the knight and the bishop, and I don't believe there's a way that black can move so that both pieces will be defended. These are always very tricky whenever there's a quiet move involved, so let me double check this one. That is my first thought though, g4. g4 you pretty much have to take, right? g4 if bishop takes, queen takes, and now the queen is defending the pawn and there's still this fork present. There's also no vulnerabilities really with the white pieces. The rook is protected on c1. With this variation, g4, bishop takes, rook, queen takes, bishop, knight takes. The bishop's protected, the rook on c1's protected, the knight on b3 is protected, which means that there's maybe no counter tactic that black can use to exploit white's position, since there's not any pieces that are unprotected. I think I'm going to go with that. g4 first. Or no. I think I have to play rook takes rook first. That's the first one. Rook takes rook first. If g4, then there's rook takes rook first. Rook takes rook. And then after bishop takes g4, bishop takes here, the knight gets to recapture and the queen is there to defend d6. So I think this has to come first. Let me give this one quick thought. One more try here. Rook takes rook, queen takes. It's an only move. g4. Bishop takes bishop, knight takes bishop, unprotected knight on d6, unprotected bishop on g4. Queen to f4 hits both knight and bishop, and I'm not seeing a way that the queen could move to defend both, but actually there is, isn't there? The queen can move to d7, defending the knight. And the bishop on g4, but you know what? Then there's knight c5. I think this is the only square the queen could go to that would defend g4 and d6. If she's kicked off of this square, she could defend one of these two squares, but not both. So this is maybe even one step deeper, this puzzle. Rook takes, queen takes, g4, bishop takes, pawn, bishop takes bishop, knight takes bishop, queen f4, queen d7 defends g4 and d6, but then comes knight c5. Okay, I think that's finally it. No, actually, with knight c5, this rook on c1 would be unprotected, but I don't see a way that the queen could move from d7 and attack this unprotected piece. Okay, this is getting far too complicated. Let me start off with this. Hopefully it's right. It is. And now g4. That is correct. Okay. And now bishop takes. That's right. And now queen f4. That's right. Queen d7, knight c5 is what I thought. Is this the end of the puzzle? It is. I actually feel very good about this one. It took forever, but I just gave myself a pat on the back for that one, I guess. All right, I've focused on this one enough. Let's just dive into puzzle 2 of 3. Okay. Once again, white to move. Alright, checking moves. There's a knight check, and that's it. If it's black's turn to move, there are some checking moves. Queen here, probably not. Knight here, probably not. Queen takes here, probably not. So not really any great checking moves. So I think this allows white to make some quiet move to start. Let's see. Queen h6 is my first thought, threatening mate in 1. How are you going to stop that? Right? The queen, or the king would have... the king has no legal moves once the queen plays to h6. What are you doing about queen to h8? Queen h6... There is rook takes pawn. And then if queen h8, there's king takes knight. So a queen h6 move, I think, could be met with rook takes pawn, and then all of a sudden the knight is not defended. So queen h8 check, king takes knight is available. Notice queen h6, rook takes pawn, rook takes rook. Now this rook is unprotected and is no longer sheltering the king on this diagonal from checks. So this allows queen d5 check, picking up the rook. Let's still run with this, though. There might be some tactic against the queen. Queen h6, rook takes pawn. Queen h6, rook takes pawn, I believe, would be the only try. Queen h6, knight check, you take. You're defending the knight with the rook and pawn, so that's probably not a good idea. So queen h6, rook takes pawn seems like the only response. And do we have time for something other than a rook takes rook? Queen h6, rook takes pawn, queen check, king takes knight. And the follow-up is... I'm not seeing it. You give a check on h7, but the knight could block. Maybe then there's a rook check. Something seems like it's off with that one. I don't know. Let's see. What about queen getting on this diagonal to try to get to h8? There's more than one direction you can move the queen to try and get to h8. But moving it on this diagonal, let's say to b2, knight g7, and I'm not sure what you do at that point. Knight h6 check, king h7, where do we go from there? I have no idea. It just feels so right to do this move. Let's look at it one more time. Almost 4 minutes on this one. Queen h6, rook takes pawn. And what next? Queen h6, rook takes pawn. Not seeing it. Let's see. Queen h6, rook takes pawn, and I really don't know what the follow-up would be. Queen h6, rook takes pawn, rook takes rook, queen d5 check, and then king h2, queen takes rook. I don't know what the follow-up would be after that. Wow. Oh, what about this? Is this a move? I'm going in a completely different direction now. I'm ready to throw in the towel at this one. Queen to d7. It's completely different than queen h6. Queen d7 isn't like queen here defending everything. You could throw in a check, but just king somewhere. So many different choices. I'm stumped on this one. What's unprotected? He's unprotected. Is there a way to really take advantage of that? Are there any tricky forks? Oh, what about... No, I was just going to say knight check if the king h7, queen d7, but there's always some piece that could get to e7 here. Yeah, it's not really happening with this one, is it? Alright, I spent enough time. Let me just try something. I'm going to still go with this, even though I'm pretty sure it's wrong. Oh my goodness, it's right. Why isn't queen d5 being played? Oh, really? I thought rook takes pawn would have been good. Alright, so... This seems a lot simpler now, because you could play rook here and interfere with the queen defending h8. That's the intention behind queen c3. Queen c3 defends h8, but after rook to e5, that blocks this. That's got to be it, right? There is this, but it allows knight or queen block. Okay, I think rook to e5 now. Knight check, the queen is watching over f4. Let's just do this. And okay, this is going to be the end of the puzzle, but I'm not really a big fan of this one. I need to go to the analysis board on this one and see what the big idea was here. Let's see if I could get this. Let's see how well I'm doing here. It should be sort of close there. Alright, good enough. Let me just scroll down for a second. King there, queen h6 was right, but it's one of these you really can't feel good about getting a puzzle like this because you didn't really see it all the way through. It's not really giving rook takes pawn as a possibility in the analysis. Or maybe I'm just completely blind to it. Now here we go. This rook takes e6 right here. And then it's saying knight to g5. Oh. Knight g5. Oh. Let's see. So they're talking about this. If rook takes pawn, not rook takes rook, because of this, picking up the rook, but knight here. Oh, that's a sneaky move. That was hard to spot. Hitting the rook twice. And if rook takes rook, now there's a mate in 1, 2. That's the key idea that I missed, this knight g5 move. Ah, tricky. Okay, let's close out of this and try that last one. Okay, puzzle 3 of 3. I'll give myself maybe half credit for this, or that puzzle. Alright, puzzle 3 of 3. I feel like I've seen this one before. We play as black. And, okay, this guy's going in this direction. Alright. Feels like... What? Feels like what are we playing for here as black? We're not playing for a win, are we? Oh, yes we are. Yes, we're definitely playing for a win. We could take this pawn with check. And then, oh, we're gonna win this. This is how this puzzle set of 3 is gonna end. We take the pawn, and then win the queen next, play, and then push the pawn, and that's it. Push our own pawn, you can't be caught. Alright. So that was simple enough, right? Queen takes, pawn check. The king has 2 legal moves. If he goes here, we give a check on the diagonal, win the queen, and the pawn runs for the hills. And queen takes pawn, king here. Queen check. And then we pick up the queen. There aren't any tricky stalemate ideas that white would have after we take the queen, are there? Queen takes pawn, king here. Queen check. The king can't move to a square where once we capture the queen, the king would be in stalemate. And similarly, if the king plays here after we take the pawn, queen check, the king can't move to a square where once we take the queen, it would be stalemate. So I think this one's pretty clear cut. No, it's not. What did I miss? Are you kidding me? What's wrong with my idea of just picking up the pawn? And then, oh my goodness. Do you see the terrible blunder I made? Ah, you goof. Oh my goodness. Oh man, after the king moves, we're in check. Oh man. Like I wanna try this one still now that I see that. Could I still try it? I wanna get this one. Oh man. I mean, we could always get a stalemate. You give a check, go here, and the king keeps going back and forth in the corner, and it'll be a stalemate. You can't. White wouldn't be able to win, that's for sure. But what's the big plan here? What about? Oh, maybe you have to insert this check first. Queen check, king here, and only then take the pawn with check. With then queen here to follow, or queen here to follow to win the queen. All right. I think this is the first move. Queen check first. Oh my goodness. The queen blocks. Now, once you take the pawn, the king moves and you're not in check. And now queen here. If king here, queen to c7. Man, I feel foolish. And now this pawn simply can't be caught. Details! That was a big blunder. To not see that after the king moved, I would be in check. I can't even give myself half credit for that one. Alright, maybe I'm not the only one who fell for it. Feel free to share how you did with these 3, and I hope you got something out of this video. Take care. Bye.